Hello, Shopper. Can you hear me?
Hello, Bimbo. Good
Yeah, I'm
morning.
here. Good morning.
Yeah, Ashioma. Good
Hello.
morning. How are you?
Good morning, Shokwa.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. I think we'll just be waiting for the rest of the students, the SS1 and some SS2 students. They'll be joining us online as well.
Okay.
So we can probably say about 5 or 6 that will kick off.
Okay.
How you guys do generally though? Bimbo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. I'm good.
Generally, thanks for coming and thanks for joining us online. How have you been generally?
Man, so far so good. I mean, shit, I had to say to wake up was difficult, but hey, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, but it's good. It's good. And again, I've not met other Grace alumni too. It's good to.
That's one with us. That's Ashioma. That's Ashioma. You can you hear us? Ashioma. Hello. Maybe she's not hearing us. Yeah, I don't think she's hearing us. Her name is Ashioma. She actually graduated in 2008 from the high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually waiting for a couple. I think there's still Harry. There's Dr. Richard couldn't join us.
Okay.
He left in 2004. He left the children's school in 2004.
Okay.
And also Gbemi as well. He left the children's school and the high school. I think he left in 2009. So.
Okay.
So, 5 or 6. Hopefully they will join us soon. But if they don't join us, then we'll just kick off.
It's okay.
I generally said I wasn't going to do the African style.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand it's beyond your.
Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you, Shokwa. Sorry, my internet was messing up, so I was trying to switch networks.
Okay. I'm with Bimbo. He would like to meet you. So maybe you guys can do an introduction.
Yes. Hi, Bimbo.
I'm good.
I was him. Yes. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. So I finished from Grace in 97, the primary school. So I said, oops, what am I saying? 91.
Oh, wow.
91.
You're a grand elder.
I know. Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday, though, even though I know it's been a long time.
It does.
I mean, I still remember my very last day at Grace, to be honest. So yes, it feels like yesterday. So I mean, it's nice to be able to contribute and impact lives, like this. So it's good. Oh, I'm on mute. Hold on. I think I'm on mute. Okay, no.
Can I hear you?
No,
okay, you can hear me. Okay, yes. So,
yes.
Yes.
You were saying something?
Yes, I said it's good to have this opportunity to impact lives, like
Right.
The younger ones. Yes, it's good.
Right. I didn't go to the children's school. I went to high school and I graduated in 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
So. Yeah, that's also another 12. That's like 12 years ago already.
Yes. So I can see why you said it feels like yesterday, because me too.
Exactly.
Now that I say it, I'm like, okay, that's actually been a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start the seminar now with a short prayer. In Jesus' name, Father, Lord, we give you thanks, we give you praise. We thank you, Lord, for your children. We thank you, Lord, for this gathering. We hope that everything we might say here will be pleasing and tantalizing to you, Lord. All our students, we hope they'll be able to get 1 or 2 things we'll be discussing. And we hope you'll be able to use the mouth of the panel to tell the students what will be good for them to hear and what will be useful for their careers. For in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I will start with Engineer Bimbola Oyediro. I would like you to introduce yourself to our participants, and after that, then Ashioma, and then we start.
Okay, so my name is Abimbola Oyediro. So many people at Grace call me Bimbo. I graduated from Grace Children's School in 1991. I went all the way to primary 6 at the time. After I left Grace, I attended Federal Government College, first FGC Enugu, and then I finished up at FGC Lorry in 97. And then after that, I attended University of Lagos briefly for 2 years. Not 3 years, but 3 years, but I didn't complete my third year. And then I relocated to the US to continue the chemical engineering program I was studying at Unilag. So I transferred my hours to University of Houston, where I graduated chemical engineering as well in 2005. And then I went to work in the oil industry as a petroleum engineer. And let me also add by saying I already started, I did an internship with ExxonMobil in 99 in Nigeria. So I already knew I was going to go that road, that path already before I left Nigeria. I was a reservoir engineer intern in 99 with Exxon. So when I finished in 2005 from University of Houston, I joined the workforce, starting off with Baker Hughes. I worked for them for about 2.5 years. Then I worked for BP for 10 years as a petroleum engineer. I've worked around the world. I've worked here in the US. I've worked in the UK, Europe, Asia, and then I worked in Africa as well. And then in 2015, I got laid off in 2015, and then that's when I decided to seek a new career, and I went consulting as an engineer as well. And then after that, I finally came into project management, which is what I do today. I'm a project control specialist at the moment, so mostly do cost and schedule at the moment for big projects in data center and things like that. So I've had I'm in my second career right now. My first career was as a petroleum engineer, and now I'm a project control specialist at the moment. And that's me, my career. So
thank you very much. Ashioma.
Hey, fantastic. Quite a number of similarities between myself and Engineer Bimbo. Really nice to meet you. My name is Ashoma Azimbi. I started out at Grace High School. So it was Grace High School. I didn't go to Grace Children's School, but I started at Grace High School in 2002 in JSS1. I don't know if there's still that program, but then, based on the entrance exam, I think 2 students would get a scholarship to come in. So I was one of the scholarship students. So I was in grades from JS1 to SS3. I went into science class. At the time, I think initially I started out with wanting to do medicine. Then my parents had the great idea of having me work a few weeks in a family friend's hospital. And very quickly, I knew that medicine was not for me. Like the sight of blood, like really spoke to me, and a lot of things spoke to me. So I didn't even need anybody to tell me anything. I was like, this is definitely not for me. So I started looking for what next, and then of course engineering. I first said civil engineering, and then my parents are like, "What do you know is civil engineering?" Then I realized I actually just said civil engineering because I knew most of the engineers I knew at the time were civil engineers. So I had to do some research. And I'm like, oh, I like chemistry. Let's do chemical engineering. That was the thought at the time. So I graduated in 2008. And then I went to Unilag. My parents had separation anxiety. They were like, oh, nobody's leaving this country as young as 16. Oh, I've heard all these bad things happen. So Unilag it was. and I did chemical engineering there. But after I was there from, I believe, about October 2008, then about, I think, August 2009 or so, there was a strike, and the strike was on for, I mean, 3 months in, there was still a strike. So at that time, they had to revisit the entire thing. And so I transferred to the University of Texas at Austin to do chemical engineering. So I left Unilag and went there. So I graduated in May 2013. I did a minor in business as well. And typical Nigerian child, as soon as I graduated, I started my master's program. So I did that in chemical engineering as well, but it was with a focus in energy engineering and economics. So that was at Cornell. Then I graduated 2014, and I did do an internship at UT with Alcoa, that's Aluminum Company of America. It was a good place. It was a good place, but it was out of town. It just didn't feel like the right fit. So when they offered me a full-time job, I had to decline and say I wanted to do my master's. After my master's, I was still hoping for oil and gas, an oil and gas system, but all of them were like, go back to your country. So I took the plunge, I moved back and started NYC almost immediately. So I worked as a petroleum engineer with Panushon Oil Corporation as a trainee and as part of my NYC. And as fate will have it, 2 months to the end of that, Chevron was recruiting. I applied and I got the job as a process engineer. So I started in August 2015 as a process engineer at Chevron. And so I spent my first year and a half working as a process engineer on various projects in the office. And then I went to Scravels to support a few of about 20 of our.
Let's go ahead.
Got pregnant, so I had to move back to Lagos again, and here I am. I'm still a process engineer at Chevron. So it's been an interesting career so far. Yeah, so that's it. That's it about.
Fantastic. Samson there. Samson wrote to me. Can you hear me? All right. So there are some questions. Bimbo, are you there?
Yes,
Bimbo?
I'm here. I'm here. Yep.
So is Samson there as well? Can you hear me? Okay, maybe you'll join us. So I've got some questions for Bimbo and for Ashioma. So I wanted to ask, so when you guys were in school, I mean, what subjects did you guys like? What subjects prepared you for this?
So for my petroleum engineering career, so the subject I liked in school was always chemistry, math, basically just the sciences and math. But as I got into senior secondary, I found that I did not like biology. Okay, I didn't like the reading; it was too much. I don't like too many words. I just like, I'm a very direct person, and I think so it was just sciences and math, but excluding biology. You can say that. And of course, then when I got to Unilag, when technical drawing was introduced to me, I did not like it. It's probably the way it was taught. I didn't like it at all. So that canceled civil engineering for me as well. But I'll just say, excluding biology, the sciences and math, basically.
All right. Samson, are you there? Shegun, can you hear me? Mr. Shegun Ogulesi, can you hear me? All right, Ashioma, what subjects?
Yeah, I'm online. I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Shegun?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, we've already started. So the two panelists have introduced themselves and their profiles. So I think we'll do the same with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was online. I heard what they said. So my name is yeah, I've been following. Yeah. So I'm Ogunlesi Olusegun. I went to Grace Children's School. Then was primary school only, I think. So it was primary and nursery school. So I started my nursery there, and I finished in primary six before I went to secondary school, which was Lagos State Model College at Badore. And my senior secondary year, I did sciences. I actually went to do sciences because I always wanted to be like a medical doctor, but I didn't find biology too interesting because I don't think I had the flair for it. So I think I was quite good in like maths and chemistry, physics. So from there, I went to UI and I studied chemistry for 4 years in University of Ibadan. Graduated, I think, was in 1999 or 2000, and did postgraduate diploma in management in Lagos State University. And after that, I worked for my NYC, I worked in a stockbroking firm, which was FIS. And after that, I went to Clearview, which was also another stockbroking firm. And I worked in both for like about 2 to 3 years. And from there, left and moved over to the UK. And then in the UK, I worked in a security firm. From there, moved over to working for the local councils, which are like local government here. Worked for 2 boroughs, which was Royal Borough, Preston and Chelsea. I worked there for about 3 years, and then from there I moved over to Institute. When I finished for Institute, I now left that one, and I decided to join the prison service in the United Kingdom, where basically what we do is more from dealing with management and reform of prisoners' behaviors and stuff like that, and which is quite a very rewarding and challenging job at the same time. So it's something that you need to have a flair for if you want to do it. That's my basic backstory. Anyways. Hello.
Hello? Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm there.
All right.
Well, you couldn't hear me or?
Yeah. We still have another person now, but maybe we'll just continue and you'll join us from there. So Ashioma, you were saying the subjects you were passionate about in school.
Very, very similar to Bimbalaton. There's chemistry. It was definitely chemistry and math. Math for the math. I like the math part of things. Physics was all right. I mean, biology was a struggle. But I was trying to hang in there until I figured that medicine wasn't for me, and then I stopped hanging in there, if that makes sense. So chemistry and math.
Mr. Samson wrote, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now.
All right, fantastic. Welcome. So you can also introduce yourself as well as a member.
Okay, so my name is Samson Botumi, and I went to JSS 1 and JSS 2, and then I left after that. So that's my participation in Grace, and I was in a hostel as well for both of those years.
All right, so what else have you done? I mean, what's your professional experience? What have you done in the last 15, 16, 17 odd years?
Wow. So my professional experience
this one is the first.
is my volume.
About to take someone before actually.
Just checking, is my volume okay?
Yes, it's okay. Yes.
So I did the academic side of things, and I went to university, and I did events management and music management inside university. When I came out of university, I soon got a job in the O2 Arena in London, and I've been working there currently for 8 years, and I'm now the front of house manager there, and I'm also the guest relations manager, managing that department as well. So that's where that's where I work. That's where I'm actually currently at. I'm just taking a break. So that's where I'm currently at. And that's my professional background. It's mostly in events, but what I will be doing is I'm going to diversify myself, and I'm going to get into African tourism as well.
So moving on from there, Samson, so what were the subjects that prepared you for what you currently are doing now? What subjects did you do in school that prepared you for what you're doing right now?
Well, I actually sort of fell into events management by accident, because I was all throughout college. So in the UK, how it goes is after secondary school, you go to college. After college, then you go to university. And I was always focused on music. That was my main passion. But I applied to study music in university. And during my first year, I soon found out that music is not something you study unless you want to compose music. But for the side of music I wanted to do, it's not something you study. It's something you have to go out there and actually do. So I actually, after my first year in university, I changed courses, and I changed my course from music technology, and I changed it to events management. And within that events management, there was a module where they covered also music management. So so I did that, and that was a 3-year course. Then after that, because I also loved music after I finished university, and I had done this degree in events management, I thought of where can I both use those two sets of skills. And of course, I found myself at the O2 Arena, where they do mostly music events, and it's a world-class venue for music. But of course, they still do the events management side of things. So where I landed is a perfect combination for me.
Okay, fantastic. Shegun, can you hear me? Hello? Shegun, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. I can hear you.
So what subjects did you do in school that prepared you for, the job you're doing right now? When you were in secondary school, what subject, or university, what subjects did you do that prepared you for what you're doing right now?
Mine is a totally different situation because what I do is no relation to what I did study at university. I think the difference for me is that the courses that you study is basically focusing and concentrating on that and applying the same principles to almost everything you do. Because I studied chemistry and I was in science classes, and what I do, it's totally different from that, because what we're doing is maybe we're probably managing situations because we're officers in it, so it's got no relation with that. But what I did realize is that the work ethic that you build up, especially when you're at university, because you do definitely need to be able to work by yourself, work on your own, and focus on projects by yourself. So those work ethics is basically what I've carried on to the present job that I'm doing.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Bimbo. So what personal qualities and attributes have you brought to the job? And what other attributes and qualities have you grown into as the job has progressed? So those are 2 questions. Should I repeat again?
No. The personal attributes that I've brought to the job is I've always been someone who's very responsible and on time and disciplined. On time, I'm always disciplined and I'm responsible. So that I brought to the job. Okay. And the career that I was in is, so my career as a petroleum engineer, I was in Wales. I was a completions engineer. The work I completed deep water wells and also onshore wells. It's very military-like the way we write our procedures. So and being a very direct person. So on the job, what the job has helped me over the 15 years when I was in a career, it shaped my thinking. And as far as I'm very, I can be very tunnel visioned because of the way the job is. Precision is giving me how to be precise because of what I did. And also the job helped me to how my attention to safety. Like my safety awareness is really high up there, you know. So at home, even my kids, my wife are like, you know, I notice things when I'm outside and all that, just because of the career I had and things like that. So that's what I've learned on the job is my, again, even though I had personal discipline, but as far as the procedural discipline and making people fall in line, then, you know, project management, the job gave me that. And also just, you know, tunnel vision in anything I'm doing so that I can bring that accuracy and precision to anything I'm doing. So yeah, I'd say that's mainly what I learned on the job so far. Yeah.
All right, Ashima.
Okay. So I'd say what I brought to the job was, you know, being able to say problem solving. Really, that would be the thing. Like being able to see a problem and dissect it, and know who to call. You know, those relationships, like who knows about this problem, and be able to search out the answer and connect the dots. But you know, I'd say that there is more stuff to learn on the job than before the job. You know, we're all constantly learning on the job. I mean, one thing that I'm learning, I mean, as most people know, the energy industry as we know, it is changing. So I'm learning to deal with change. I'd say that's the biggest thing, to embrace change. Normally, I don't like change, you know, it scares me. So when I see something like big changes, I just want to run away from it. But now, hey, you have to embrace it, and be resilient in the face and say, how can I prepare for the future? So right now, I'd say that's the biggest thing I'm learning, is that life won't always go as planned. But how can I prepare for it when things go sideways? And that could be even in the same, you know, the same job role. It could be in a different job role. It could be in a different company. You know, I'm just seeing it play out in many different type of ways these days. So that's really something I'd say everybody should look into.
All right, Samson.
So the qualities that I brought to the job is, well, not to give Grace too much credit, but you know, when I was my 2 years that I spent there, I forged a mentality of, you know, in Grace, for example, mathematics. I hated mathematics, and so in JSS 1, mathematics was every Monday, and it was the first class every Monday, and I would dread, like on Sunday before, I would dread, you know, going into that class, and that teacher was very, very strict at the time. So, but you know, once a year goes past, I realized that okay, it wasn't that bad, and I got through it. And that was the same with other things in Grace. So when I finally left Grace, I had a mentality that no matter what happens, no matter what comes, I can get through it. Because if I can do that for something I don't like and attend it, and you know, I pass, imagine what I could do for things that I do like. So so I came into this particular job with a mentality that I'm going to outwork everybody, and nothing is too much for me, and that I came with energy that I would just outwork everybody. So when it came for me, you know, doing the job itself, I found that I started to, things were easy for me because of my mindset that I came into it with. Things were just easy for me. So I bought a disciplined regiment, I would say, to that. And when I later became a team leader and a manager, I had that same mentality of telling people basically just making them the best. I just go for it 100% at the job I do. And the skills that I've learned growing in the job is more corporate skills. So I've learned how to speak to people and how to, in the West, in the corporate setting, there's a lot of, should I say, mind games as such. You've got to do things without being aggressive, without being direct. You've got to do things in a, in a fox-like manner where you've got to make your point come across without being too direct. So I've learned that subtle communication and how to communicate get my point across, but still in a good and effective way.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Very good. Shegun.
Yeah, I guess for me, what would I say? It's I guess it's being able to communicate and work together as a group. Because I remember when you are, especially towards exams, we used to have a lot of tutorials where we solve exam questions and people coming together. So being able to communicate with one another and express yourself, being able to teach people who are having difficulties and like what to do. Those kind of things are very important in what I do today. Because what we do is we do a lot of communications with the people who we deal with. So I guess that was one of the major things I was able to take over to what I actually do. Also being able to concentrate on what you're doing, like one item at a time. So having like sort of like tunnel vision, focusing on it, and giving out your best in whatever it is that you put yourself to. So I would say those are the major attributes that I was able to carry over. Yeah. Hello.
Can you hear me? Shegun.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So I think you've already said, but I will still ask again. So what have you learned on the job, and what has the job taught you about yourself? I'll start with Bimbo.
What's that?
So the question is, what have you learned, and what has the job taught you about yourself?
What have I learned on the job?
Yes, and what has it taught you about yourself as a person?
Okay. So the job. So let me answer what it has taught me. Yeah, I learned. So what the job has taught me is how to work effectively with people, collaborate, on projects and not just be siloed all by myself. Because when you're in school, you give, of course, in school too, you have some projects where you work with people, but it's in a different, it's different at work. So I think it taught me that, and not even, and when I say this, not necessarily, and that's both in person and when you're working with in a team that's, not, in a virtual environment. So I learned that, I'm in Houston and I'm working with people who are in, let's say, Azerbaijan, and we're still able to effectively, reach our goal. So that another thing that I've learned on the job is, I think something hit on that too, is how to be strategic in how you go about your work, and to not be as direct, but you want to deliver your message. So that the job actually taught me that as well. Basically soft skills, the job also taught me a lot of soft skills as well. As far as the hard skills, maybe all those science, basically everything I learned in school, I'm not using all those skills today. Okay, I'm not using all that stuff. All that, calculus and all that stuff. Permit my French, is all junk at the moment because I don't use none of that stuff. Okay, it's mostly project management that I use on the job today. And now, what has the job? So now, in response to myself, naturally, I'm a very direct person. So I learned to restrain that on the job. So when I'm on the job, I wear a different hat because I know it's a working environment. The other thing too that I'd say on the job, like that's taught me about myself is that I can do a whole lot more things at the same time than what I knew. Because like at the moment on the job, I have about 5 projects, big projects that I'm managing. So while I'm doing that, and I'm also I have other roles in life that I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm the president in the community, I'm the president in the community where I work as well. And I'm also a teacher in the children's church. So I have all these other hats that I wear, and I knew I could do that because while I worked early on, I had put myself out there in doing many other things. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can actually, do a whole lot more than just one thing. So the job taught me that, and I've continued to build on that over time. That's all I have.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, as your mind.
Very well said, Bimbo. For me, one thing I'd say I'm learning is there's no such thing as shy when it comes to the workplace. So going in, I used to be more. I'll just sit back and do my work, and that's it, and go home. But I'm fast learning how to be a better communicator, right? Because it's not just I'm learning that it's not just about, okay, you've done the engineering and then hand it into whoever is requesting that solution and go home, but you have to be able to communicate that solution to people. Otherwise, all the work you've done is lost. So I'm learning that there is a side to me that can communicate with people, right? So yes to embracing our personalities. So if you're introverted naturally or extroverted, when it comes to the job, solving a problem doesn't just end at saying this is the solution. It ends at being able to actually communicate that solution to someone else, or to the people who need that solution. So that's one, that's something I'm learning on the job, learning about myself as well. What else has he taught me about myself? I mean, quite a number of things, to be quite honest. I didn't know how the fine line between being broad, having depth, and being specific. And that there'll be times when it's good to be very specific, and then there'll be times when it's good to have a broad knowledge. So I'm learning how to navigate that as well, because you get a task, and yes, you're a process engineer and you want to bring your process engineering hat, put your process engineering hat on. But if you have an idea of something electrical or something mechanical, just having that idea brings up a totally different solution that will add value. So I'd say yes, just constantly learning about myself, learning about the job, learning about the company, and seeing how the three of them intersect and where the good mix and match is. That'd be it.
Samson.
Okay, I initially missed the question, so can you repeat the question?
Please give me 1 minute to comment.
Sure.
So the question was, what have you learned on the job, and what has the job taught you about yourself?
On the job, I learned that I can lead basically, and lead quite effectively. So just to give you a scope, so with what I manage, well, let me give you a scope. So the O2 Arena takes, if it's a sitting audience, if everyone is sitting down, it will take about 16,000 people. If it's a standing audience, some people are standing up, some people are sitting down for the event, then it'll take about 20,000 people, 20 to 21,000 people. And so that's the audience. And being the front of house manager, I'm basically responsible for the lives of all those people. And I'm responsible for the experience of all of those people. It comes down on me. And that's that role. Another role I do in the O2 is guest relations manager, where it's a whole department. And with that department, I'm managing about 120 staff members per event. So I never knew that I never imagined myself to be able to do that role. But on the job, I've learned that, you know, with the focus that I have, with the focus and the mentality that I brought to the job, I've noticed that I can do it quite effectively. And I've got my own style of doing things, my own ways and methods of doing things. And to be honest with you, my interactions with people, because we got a lot of young people as staff members, and you got a lot of older people as staff members. But you know, I'm going back to the Grace High School hostel experience. With that experience, you meet so many people and so many different types of people, and at such a young age. So you begin to get comfortable with a lot of people. So at the job that I'm doing now, I'm very comfortable in being around and interacting with a lot of people. And it really all started from that hostel experience. So yeah, I've learned that I could communicate very effectively to people and lead very effectively as well.
Fantastic. Shegun.
Yeah. Let me see. Well, with me, I found out that, well, my job can be a very stressful. So, and you're dealing with a lot of people. Some of them are actually very troubled. We got a lot of people who are there with mental health issues and you know, behavioral problems and stuff like that. So you learn to be able to interact with them, and you have to be able to communicate with them and look for an effective way of dealing with people like that. So I found out that my job puts you in a situation where you're not necessarily like a PR person, or a salesman, but more of a communicator, which turns to be the most important aspect of the job that we do. It's not basic, because when people hear of officers, they think we're all physical and all that, but most of it has to do with human relationship. So I guess that was the main thing I found out, that I just had to pick up, and you have to be able to do that quick. So I would say that's the most, I think that I would say that for me, that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So this is for Bimbo. So was it the right job you chose for yourself when you were in school? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
When you were in school, so was that the job you wanted to do? And if it was,
so
yeah,
I would say it's difficult to answer that, because when I look back, I think the career I started off with, I may have been brainwashed into it. The reason I say that is because my dad worked for ExxonMobil, and I had uncles who were in the oil industry already. So because my friends who went to secondary school together, when we sit down and talk today, and they'll tell me, man, Bimbo, back then in GS1, GS2, you were that guy who you're already talking about the offshore schedule, you know, the rotations, because very early on I'd been offshore at age 11. I had, you know, I'd gotten on a chopper already. So I had uncles who come to my house and tell me what they were doing. I was getting all interested in that. So, but it seems as though my dad had already had that going to make sure that, you know, that I like, you know, that's the road that's the path I take. It's like saying Cristiano Ronaldo and his son, you know, does his son really like football, or is it that, you know, his dad just put him in that line and he's just towing the line. Do you see? So again, but as I evolve as a person today, I see that maybe naturally, I have I have skills that I could have done other things if my dad did not have that influence on me. I could have, you know, I could be maybe somebody in HR, I could somebody in, you know, events, because I like to talk. I'm very sociable. I get along with people a lot. So I think I could have done many other things. So, but I don't know if I chose the career or the career chose me. I don't, at this point, I don't know, you know. So like I said, I think the case of sportsmen and their children is you know, is similar to how mine was, you know. Yeah. I don't know if I answered all the questions, or if there's a part I did not answer. You can.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what, yes, the question was about.
Okay.
The job, whether you chose the job or whether the job chose you, or whether everything around you prepared you for the job, or everything around you made that the job that you were going to do, or
yes,
whether that's what you're going to be. So yeah, you answered the question.
Thank you.
All right, hold on. So Ashioma, that's for you as well. So was it the right job you chose for yourself when you were in school, or did the job choose you, or was it that everything around you prepared you for the job?
I'd say it was coincidence. I mean, I don't think there was any method to me selecting chemical engineering, but I would say that I love it. I think it's right for me, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. But I would also say, as the years go by, I'm also beginning to think, yes, chemical engineering, process engineering, in the oil and gas industry, but there are other things I can do with that background. I'm beginning to see more opportunities outside the oil and gas industry, more opportunities to define my own career path. With the knowledge that I have already, like, you know, adding other things, for example, with, you know, adding tech, data science type things, and seeing what I can do with those. So yeah, I'd say yes, it's a good fit, but now I'm thinking, okay, what more? There's more. You know, I get that feeling that there's more, and I'm trying to craft a career path around more that I sense that there is.
Well done. Samson.
Well, I definitely fell into it, but it seemed, looking back, it seems that I was like being prepared for it, because, you know, like I said, me, I always wanted just to become a musician. But, you know, when I was in college, there was one time, you know, when my mom, I knew my mom was going to come home that night. And I called my friends like a week before, and I organized the house party. This is in London. I organized a house party, and then, you know, it was at the day of the house party, you know, it was all good. And me, I didn't know too much people, but I realized that everyone just kept on coming to me to ask me for this and that and this and that. And that was like that was the first time I realized, you know, that, you know, organizing people together, it comes easy to me. Fast forward, because in college I was doing a music technology course, and one of the modules in that course was to create a nightclub event and to sell tickets to other students as part of your course. So we did that, and you know, there was probably like 20 other of my colleagues doing the same thing for the same night. and we were going to get marked on it. But, you know, every time I would come to school, people would, you know, people I didn't know would call my name and they'll try to get tickets because we all had to sell tickets. But selling those tickets and communicating to people, it came a bit too natural for me. So that was my first realization. And then, of course, like I said, I go to university and I'm focused on music technology. I end up changing courses, and you know, I ended up doing the events management course. Now, let me state, academically, I didn't like the course. I wasn't interested in what they were teaching. You know, in university, the experience is mostly you go to a classroom and they give you a PowerPoint slide on, you know, something you could really just look up on Google. But in university, in my last year, I found myself, because it was my last year, I wasn't too sure what I was going to do with my life. So I found myself wanting to create different things. And one of the things I created was my own events night. So I would go to a business, and this is in Leicester, in the UK, Leicester. So I'll go to a business that I knew there. It's like think of it as I'll go to a bar, and I knew that the bar, because this is in the area, is mostly students in the area, and I knew the bar wasn't getting any business. People didn't really go there. I knew that, so I'll go to that specific bar, and I would ask for the manager, and I'll tell the manager I can get you students spending money in your venue, and I would make a deal with the manager and say, you know, if I get people here, I get this percentage off of what you make on the bar. And I did that once, I did that twice, and I started to make a little bit of money, but I was still in my course going to the classroom, looking at the PowerPoint slide, but I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in just going and doing things. And so I did that 3 more times, and I made a good profits from it. And then university finished, and I had to move back to London. But that was my third taste of realizing that this comes quite naturally to me. And lastly, the last point is when I did finish university, I was just doing retail jobs. So I was working in Zara. Zara is a clothing store, and I was my role there was to be on the tills. So when you buy your clothes, I'll be scanning it and, you know, putting it in the cash register. And I kept on making mistakes. I was only there for like 2 months, 1 month, and I was kept on making mistakes. And there was a girl that was next to me, and she was like, the manager loved her because she was the perfect staff member. She was good on the tills. She knew mathematics very well. But me, I kept on making mistakes. And I thought to myself, I was very intentional. I said to myself, I need to be in a job that comes as naturally to me as, you know, as this girl is on the tills. And I said to myself, I need to be in a job that I don't put too much effort in, but I'm just good at it. And that's when I thought, okay, I was very serious and intentional. So I would go to different, my plan was to go to different music record labels, or even music publishing houses, and just ask them for any position I could, any job. At the time, I was probably 22, 23. So my plan was to just start anywhere on the ground level, work my way up. But at least I just wanted to be in the building. And one of the places I went to was the O2 Arena. And I just went there and I started asking anyone I saw, security guards. Then the security guard will point me to the next person. The next person will point me to the next person. They pointed me to their HR department. And I didn't even have my CV on me. But I was there and I just kept on saying to people, you know, my name is Samson Watimi. I have a degree in this, and I have a passion for this. And I said to myself, even if they have a position as a cleaner, I would take it and I would work my way up. And that was the mentality I had. So when I went there and I spoke to the HR lady, just by chance, they happened to create a new department within the O2, and it's called the guest relations department. Just by chance, they happened to create it probably the week before, and they were looking, you know, they were looking for people to interview. And so, you know, I went there, I did that interview, and the rest is history. And then from there, I just worked my way up. And of course, now I'm the front of house manager. So, yeah, I think that it just chose me. And then of course, because I love music, this it combines perfectly. So I think it chose me. And really, although I'm diversifying, I'm going to come out of this real soon to go to African tourism. But when I come to work now, it doesn't feel like work. For the past 8 years, hasn't felt like work. It's felt like I'm coming to a party, and I just happen to be part of the organizers of the party. For example, Burna Boy is performing later on this month, and there's something like that. I would go to imagine me backstage at something like that. I would do that for free, but I just happen to be in a place where I'm working and I'm able to go to be around that environment. So yeah, sorry for the long speech.
No, that's good. I mean, the students must really know that sometimes you need this humility. It's not really commonplace, but I would have to say I'm impressed. Well done, Samson. Shegun, you're next.
Yeah, okay. I think I need to call Samson later. Maybe I might get some free tickets to the O2, isn't it? I live real far from there. My wife will love Bono Boy. But having said that, because for me, I mean, I work for the prison service, isn't it? So as an officer, I mean, chemistry or management has nothing to do with. That has nothing to do with what I do. So nothing I really learned from school actually did transfer into as in like the courses itself, not the attributes or the characteristics or whatever is I learned. Nothing of that sort really transferred over. So almost everything that I did in school, it's basically non-transferable to what I'm doing at the moment at work. But having said that, I think school obviously is always very important because you learn a lot from school. You make a lot of friends from school. I can't say there's a lot of human interaction in school. You all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, you're almost really independent because you have to do stuff for yourself, which are very important attributes in what I do today. But on the transferable side, mine and what I do now and what I studied are two entirely different things. And I won't say like I enjoyed my course a lot because chemistry was supposed to be a very practical course. And in UI, a lot of it that we were doing was theory based. So I used to have a hard time understanding what it was we were studying because you're doing calculations, or you're mixing chemicals and stuff like that. But instead of actually doing them, you're mainly doing them on paper. You're not actually seeing what you're doing. So those aspects were difficult for me. I mean, the project was different because it was interesting. All of a sudden, we did a course in the first semester, and during the second semester, I had to do my project. And for the first time, I could understand the course because you can actually see what the whole thing was all about. But I'm not saying no one should go read chemistry. I'm not trying to diss it. I think it's also a good course. But I think mine is my own situation or my experience with in transferable is very different from obviously what Samuel went through.
All right, fantastic, Shegun. The other question is there any regrets on the job? Abimbola, do you have any regrets on the job you're doing presently?
No. So again, most of my conversation here, I think I've probably focused on my petroleum engineering career. But I have no regrets at the moment. What I would say is that the career that I spent most of my time in, the petroleum engineering, it made me not. It was only much later, after maybe after 10 years or so, that I started to see that I could do other things. The training of the job and how much it took of me, like I said earlier, it made me so tunnel vision, and that's what and that's what these large corporations, that's what they want. They want to keep you like that. I mean, to the point where you can't even move outside. Like at my time, as a well engineer, when I worked for BP, you cannot leave well engineering until after 15 years. Wow. At the time when I was there, because because if you're going to be a deep water drilling engineer, they've put in so much into you, invested so much training globally that they just, because to get somebody else into that chair, it takes so much. So again, but at the same time, I see myself now that, you know what, I can do other things. I mean, like I'm talking to you guys now. I'm not more a petroleum engineer. I support Facebook right now. Me building data centers, managing the project. That's what I do at the moment. That's nothing different that's not petroleum engineering. But it didn't happen. It wasn't a smooth transition. It was forced, or maybe because I was laid off, you see, in 2015 when when the oil and gas industry kind of went down. So that's when I started to try to do other things. So I think maybe I won't call it regret. I probably should have, I'd say, much earlier, maybe looked into other things that I could have been doing as well together with being a petroleum engineer, and so that, because change is going to come.
Surely.
What change is going to come? How we'll manage change, how we'll handle change, depending on what stage we are in life, will then determine how we come out. So, mine was forced on me, and it took a while to transition out of it. But again, I'm here, and I'm just learning, and I'm moving forward. So that's all.
Fantastic. Ashioma, any regrets on the job?
No regrets. I'd say, if anything, I just wish I had. So right now I'm taking certain trainings more in the digital / tech space. So coding, data science, type things. So not necessarily regrets on the job, but I wish I had started much earlier. I don't think I needed to wait, this long to start that. That's what I would say. And regardless of what career one chooses these days, those seem to be skills that come in very handy. You can't, no regrets with being able to code or, do things that are in the tech digital space. So yeah.
Samson, any regrets on the job?
No regrets, I would say. So far, no regrets. But I think the only regret would be if I stayed in the job, which is a strange thing for me to say. But I think as people in general, but especially Africans, I think the goal in life should be towards ownership, and you should leverage yourself to own something, whether it's owning your own company or owning properties. But the goal shouldn't be to work for others. The goal should be to create something yourself. And because, at the end of the day, a company is using your skills, they're using you and paying you a certain amount for it. And so in that same aspect, you should also use the company for the skills you gain and transfer it to something that you actually have ownership in. So I think the regret would be if I got comfortable. If I got comfortable. I think everyone in that goes to school, and I'm speaking specifically Africa. So of course, specifically Nigeria, where Grace is. But the goal should be ownership, especially in the environment that we find ourselves in Africa, where there's a lot of raw resources to own. So I always say to my friends, people, the diaspora, so Africans that live in the West, they have a lot of us have the mentality that we would love to work for one of the executive head offices in Apple. We would love that job, executive head offices in Apple. But in reality, Apple, in order to function, in order to function and make their devices, they need that natural mineral resource that they get from Congo in order to create any electronic. And so rather than our goal to work for Apple in a good position, our goal should be to own one of these natural mineral resources, because it's mining, you have to mine these things. It's called coltran, the resource that anyone needs to create a device, whether it's a phone, laptop, or anything. It's called coltran, and it mostly comes from Congo. And so our goal should be to partner up with the locals in, for example, Congo, and create our own company there, that now we own that natural resource of what we mine, so that Apple, for example, would be, instead of Apple going directly to Congo and getting this resources, Apple will have to go through us. And so really it should be, Apple will depend upon us for their product, as opposed to us depending on Apple for our employment, even though it will be a great working position. So that sort of mentality is the thing that I think that Africans should adopt. You definitely have to, at some points, you definitely have to get skills by working for other companies. But the younger you are, the better you should start. People should start thinking this way of ownership. And no matter what path they take, they should learn to emulate it, create it, and own it. Because the goal should be that you should be able to guarantee a job to your grandchildren. You should be able to guarantee your job. So, for example, in the position I'm in now, I'll have a few contacts, but I won't be able to guarantee a job. They'll still have to jump through some hurdles, my grandchildren. But the goal should be that you should be able to guarantee your grandchildren a job. And the most effective way to do that is through ownership, if you own it yourself. Because comfort and security is the one thing that everyone needs to have in life, comfort and security. And the only thing that can get comfort and security is money. And so no matter, because we get, with this world that we live in, especially with Black people, we feel like, especially living in the West, we feel like our purpose when we're young is to entertain. So whether to be in entertainment, or even if we want to be a lawyer, we feel like we have to show ourselves to be Black excellence, and we've got to entertain in that role. But really our goal is to have comfort and security. Once you get comfort and security, then you could do whatever you like. You could become a musician, you could play basketball, you could do whatever you like, but comfort and security should be our main priority. And then once you get that, you could do whatever you like. But comfortability would be my only regret, which is what I'm not going to do. So, yeah.
I didn't get that. Repeat that again. What would be your regret?
So comfort and comfortability would be my only regret. But
So
I'm not
comfortable in your position. In other words,
so that's why I'm diversifying. But if I was to be comfortable, that would be my only regret.
So comfort and security in another man's job instead of your job. Fantastic.
Exactly. Yes.
Shegun, any regrets as working in the prison service?
My job is a love it or hate it job, So it's a tough job. I wouldn't say specifically that I have regrets in working on my job. It's just something that was very difficult to actually get into, because it's very mentally draining. And you've got to have a strong mind to do it, because you find out that a lot of people going through the same process of dealing with people like that continuously, especially when we're actually in the same environment with them, and we kind of like mix with them, because it's not like regarding them, we actually in direct contact with them and close proximity all the time, even when they're out. So yeah, it's a very stressful environment. So I wouldn't say I have regrets in my job. You just need to know how to, should I say, like let loose or be, I can't think, like what's the word? Like when you come home and like just detach yourself from that job, so you can just calm yourself down. So so no regrets in my job. I mean, with what I studied in school, I figured out that I think everyone, just the best kind of studying is something that you love and you do enjoy. And when you definitely come out from university, you've done something, because you get people who read Yoruba and work in banks and stuff like that. So I think the most important thing is to obviously study something that you know that you enjoy and you're progressing. It's not something that someone else is trying to push onto you, because that becomes frustrating as you grow older. Even after you leave university, you might think that I should have studied psychology, but I did engineering, or I wanted to do economic. I wanted to do Yoruba, but I ended up doing economics and all that kind of thing. So there's something you enjoy the most, and yeah. And I think I understand what Samson was saying when he was talking about he doesn't want to be comfortable in the position that he's in, because that mentality of you going out to strive, have a focus in life so that you can shoot towards that. So staying in one spot and feeling that you're not progressing is obviously, a lot of people towards the end of your lives, you feel regret. So it's always good to have goals and focuses in life, and then you have to progress towards them, and you're progressing towards them. It takes a lot of frustration from your life as you grow older, because you're beginning to achieve goals and taking them off. I can't. You can have things like vision boards, scratch them off as you meet those ones, and go on to the next thing. So that brings a lot of new life into you. Like, you get fulfilled with each goal which actually accomplish, so that you're not stagnant in one place and then feel the regret later on. Well, yeah. My job at the moment, I would say I love my job and I hate my job, and I do not really have any regrets in it, because it's actually quite a rewarding job.
Fantastic. Well, there'll be a final question, then we'll leave it open for the students to ask questions. So the final question is the advice you give students based on what everybody has said now. What advice would you give to students? So advise students on the new skills employers are looking for and any latest updates about the jobs of the future. So Bimbo.
Okay, well, this is, am I off mute?
No, you're not. Oh, sorry.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. So I think what I would advise for those who are going the professional route is the skills for the future. You're going to need a lot of quantitative analysis, statistical skills. You're going to need a lot of that. Ashom already talked about the tech, the data analytics, the data science. There's going to be a lot of that you're going to need. And in all professions, it is coming. AI, artificial intelligence, you're going to need a lot of that. I mean, for us at the stage we are in our careers, it's, many of us are having to, transition and learn along the way, which manage that change. But I think for those in secondary school now, it's not going to be a change. You will just start off in it and you just continue. So that is coming. So, and a lot of writing, advanced literacy is coming. And there's also going to be, I'm seeing a lot of, let me say, even things like say let's say HR, for example. Most companies before, they used to have an HR department, and many of such things is going to be outsourced. Where once you use this word outsource, it may not necessarily be in the country where you are. It could be outsourced to India or to China. So one has to really be careful as to the career you get into, to make sure that, of course, you don't know the future, but what's the likelihood of my career being outsourced? Let me give an example. Someone who is a radiologist, okay? It's a branch of medicine, right? Okay, back in the days, or maybe not, okay, it's okay. It's a good career as well, for those that love it and have a passion for and doing it. But today, a lot of radiologists, their jobs are being outsourced to India. And it's, someone can read the x-rays and all that. And, so many hospitals have outsourced that to India. And so for those who are still in the profession today in the West, where that is taking place, they get paid a whole lot less. And they don't need as many people anymore. So as you get into, you don't want to get into a career that it's on the way out. already. That's, so that, and there are also so many things that, and also space, space pilots, a lot of things, nanotechnology, like what I heard a lot of chemistry on this call. What we knew as chemical engineering is all bioengineering. Like there's now a fine line between, say, chemical engineering and medicine. Back in the days when I was in school, it was most chemical engineers went into the energy industry, petroleum industry. Not today. Today, most chemical engineering are going into medicine. The department I came out of, the chemical engineers, they are making chips into phones. Okay, so chemical engineering today, I mean, my department at University of Houston, they're working closely with the medical department, with the Texas Medical Center. That, before they were working closely with the Exxons and the Chevrons. So is this switch to algorithm, AI, autonomy, that's where things are going. Now that's on the professional side. At the same time, not everybody is going to be an engineer, wants to be a doctor. There's also the, I don't know how to call this, but the craftsmanship with your, what to do with your hands. Like now, I would like, if I could go back in time, I wish I knew how to make suya. I wish I knew how to fix a car. I wish I was a plumber. If I could go to, if I could go to school again, like all those summers and free time, maybe in Nigeria, or when school was on strike, if I could go to a plumbing school, because these are the jobs that they will never go away. You will always need a plumber. A plumber today, where I am, charges close to $200 per hour. I mean, it's a very lucrative field to be a plumber. I mean, yes, the completion engineer that I was in is a petroleum engineering plumber, because you just plumb, wells and all that. But these surface plumbers that you call to repair your toilets and all that, I mean, in Nigeria, we may look down on it, but if you can find a school that is structured to train you to become a plumber, you can go anywhere in the world. You can, and you will end up, at the end of the day, you will do some training. You will, of course, but you will own your own business at the end of the day. You will own your own. Samson talked about it. You will be on your own. All these changes that we're talking about, it will not affect you. We will always need a plumber in the world. We'll always need someone to repair roofs. We will always need someone to eat suya. Everywhere. So if I can make suya today, I'll not even be working. Okay? So again, I don't want this talk to be all about, you got to be a professional or you got to be an engineer. No. But I agree that you must have passion for it. That is true. But you see that word passion, you have to align passion with what is going to take care of you and your family. Okay? Right. So, yes, you must be passionate about it, but you have to align that passion to what will be sustainable for you and your family. So I don't know what else to add to it, but so for those who they have a passion for the professional career, the algorithm, automation, data analytics, all that, you cannot run away from it in all fields, whether you're a doctor. As a matter of fact, there's a new field in science, in medicine now. It's called physician engineer coming up, okay? Because there's so much automation coming into medicine as well. So you cannot run away from it, from this automation. And if you're not going the professional route, and whether it's football or whether it's the arts, you have to start now, owning those skills in Nigeria, where those things that we look down upon, oh, plumber, you're just looking down on him, or you're looking down on those skills. Those are valuable skills in the West to become, let me give you an example. I don't know if we have any plumbing or trade school in Nigeria right now. I don't know. And I don't know if anybody's looking into it, but to become a plumber, where I am, it's going to take you 3 years to become a plumber. And it's going to cost you about $30,000 to be a plumber. And at what stage in life are you trying to do that? So again, the people who I know who are mechanics here, most mechanics here are richer than people that bring the cars to them. I mean, my mechanic drives a Porsche, Range Rover and all that. I mean, these are business owners. So again, I don't want anyone to look down on any profession or anything like that. I mean, there's no one way to life. It's not, I mean, back in the days, accounting that people used to, carry, how to be an accountant. There are softwares today that do all that stuff. So a software is going to replace an accountant, and all you need is just someone to check the numbers. And once a software is going to replace you or can do most of the work, then they're just going to reduce the amount of pay that they need to give to you. So I've said too much already, but I just want, them to be thinking outside the box and thinking really broadly about, and not being tunnel vision like I was in my career. Thank you.
I'm actually very happy that are there any students, SS1, SS2 students? Are you listening? Are you listening? SS1, SS2? Yes. I hope you guys have gotten something from this. Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we will still continue on, and then we'll leave the stage open for questions from you guys. Ashioma, yeah, you're next. So what's your advice to the students?
I think people said it all. For do what you love. Do what you love. There's no, like he said, one is white collar, one is blue collar, or any of that. It's what you love and what puts food on your table in the end. And if you're going to go into anything, like I said, coding, start now. There's no, I don't like it. I think right now there's a few people can get away with saying I don't like it, but as the years go by, it'd be more difficult to get away with that. So being able to program, develop. I mean, right now you can use Power Apps and develop an app yourself. We're moving to low-code solutions. So people will be asking you, right now in my office, somebody wants to request an equipment before you send an email or you use a spreadsheet. Well, now the expectation is that you can develop a low-code app for that request, for it to be done more efficiently. So if you come in and you don't know how to do that, you are behind. The chemistry, the physics, the math, they're good. But I've come to realize that it's not solely about that. When I got into Chevron, for example, I got all the necessary trainings I needed, for all of that. But what you're bringing to the table is different, it's the application. So you need to tailor your problem solving skills. So when you're seeing questions in school, don't take it as I'm going to cram and give the answer, okay? Get to the bottom of it. Try to understand the whys behind it. Not because the why behind why the sky is blue is what you're going to use at your workplace, but because just in the process of understanding the whys or the hows, you're building skills in your brain and for you to be able to tackle other problems. So it's just about the problem solving, the critical thinking skills. That's what people are looking for. So I would really stress on data analysis. I would really stress on software, and I'll really stress relationship skills. I mean, it's night and day. So for example, I worked offshore and I'm back in Lekki now. A lot of the people offshore are the ones doing the actual work. We're making recommendations here, but they're doing the work. You see, you can sit here and make very fancy recommendations. If you don't have a relationship with the people who are going to implement it, you just, that's it. Okay, but for you to be able to call them and say, hey, how far? How are you doing? How's your baby? How's your, it sounds like, oh, that's not what I studied in school. That's not my business. We're all working. But hey, you'd be surprised that the information that would take person A 2 months to get, you get that same information in 2 hours. Or a problem that you didn't know existed, someone will bring it up and say, oh, some of you have been opening books trying to solve. An operator in the middle of the field can just say, see, madam, that thing is not going to work. And here's why, So building relationships, outside, external to your organization. And it starts from now. The people you have there, the networks, you never know where you're all going to end up. So start learning how to build that relationship. I mean, I would strongly emphasize that working in teams, right? It still goes back to building relationship. There's no one man squad. No matter how smart you are, how much of the physics and this thing, if you go into a team and you are not nice, everybody's not going to work with you. They're not going to share that vision with you, and you see that's going to cramp your style. I kid you not. You wouldn't be able to go as far if you're not a team person. So regardless of what you do, those soft skills will take you a lot further than the engineering and the math and the fluid transfer will take you. Keep checking what's happening next. Like Bimbo said, what's the future, what's changing. Right now, I will not advise anybody going to school right now to go and study petroleum and gas engineering, right? If you're going to school and you're going to start petroleum and gas engineering in 2021, maybe not. Why not think about something broader, okay? So you don't find yourself in a bind, right? You can see here now, Shell has sold all their onshore fields. So why is anybody putting their head into it? I think it was Imperial College that scrapped their masters in petroleum and gas engineering. Okay, so that should give you telltale signs that maybe, I'm not saying don't go into that industry, but maybe I'll do something that can be used in multiple industries, right? And think of how you can use. Don't be too tunnel-minded. I'm going to study chemical engineering and I'm going to work in Chevron. You can study chemical engineering and you can do amazing things in different places, in law, okay, in business. It's just mind-blowing what you can do if you just mix and match. Create your own path. Don't follow anybody's path. I mean, yes, you can get ideas from, okay, this is what Ashoma did. Okay, fair, but what do you like? Then you can use that to tailor yours to your passions, to where the world is going in, going to. So sit down and be very intentional is what I would say.
All right, Samson.
Yeah, even just piggybacking to what Ashoma was talking about and reaching to is my advice the number one advice would be partnerships. So, speaking to the current students, you're in a unique position right now in your life because you're in school. And in school, you're going to meet, because you never know who everyone's going to become. So in school, you might have the current, in school right now, you might have the future governor, future president, future this, future that, future this, future that. And so you right now, your job while you're in school is to network. Even you being in SS1, SS2, JSS, whatever, you need to network and get to know people. And you need to keep contact with the people as well. Sure, the ones that don't become anything, then that's fine. But the ones that become something, you need to make them remember you, because you might need each other in the future. And in the future, the difference between you and someone else, the thing that can make you stand out could be because you went to the same school and that you had a good, even if it wasn't a close friendship, but the person has good memories of you in school. You need to leverage that. And this will continue as well to when you go to university. That one's even more key. You need to, with me, when I was in university, I, all through my academic life, I was always around, I wasn't around black people all the time. So when I went to university, I stuck on purpose to like I wanted to get to know other Black people. It was a good idea, but it also wasn't a good idea because in university there were Chinese people, there were this people, that people. What I should have done is networked my way everywhere. So now that when I'm old enough, I've got a job. If I want to, ideally, if I want to go anywhere in the world, I should be able to pick up my phone and I should know someone in that part of the world because I came across them in university. Never again, really, will you be in the same environment than what you are now. You'll never meet so many people in the same place as you are in university with the same mindsets, really, as large as university or as large as secondary school. It's very important. So even touching on that with partnerships, you see, let me speak directly to your position right now. So you guys are in Nigeria, and that is a unique position to be in because what you need to do really is no matter what you want to do, you need to come together with people, you need to partner with people, and you need to create something. So even if you have different jobs, you guys need to eventually, because remember, it goes back to that ownership. You need to own something. You need to, even if it's just you've got your individual jobs, but it comes to, I don't know, properties, houses, you need to be able to come together and bring your resources together because it's going to take you a long time for you to use what you have, whether it's your mom, dad, or whether you've got a little bit of money yourself. It's going to take a long time for you to acquire and save up. But when you bring 5 people together and they bring what they've got together, whether it's money or whether it's knowledge or whether it's even contacts, you're now able to create something and you're able to create something more faster and more effective. So partnerships, don't be the quiet person in class or the person that keeps to themselves and then, you're just looking at other people like, they're crazy or something. You need to come together. You guys need to start talking about ideas today. Even if you want to become like a musician, you need to start. One of the great examples of ownership is if you look at even Fela Kuti, he had the shrine. What musician do you know today that has their own arena or stadium to perform at? It's a no-brainer. If how you get money is to perform, surely you should own your own venue. But no one really thinks like that. So you need to come together and no matter what you want to do, your goal is in coming together. And people in the West, they want to invest in Africa. Full stop. No matter what it is, there's always going to be someone, especially in these few years, next coming 10, 20 years, there's going to be people in outside of Africa that want to invest in Africa. So if you can get your stuff together and they need a contact. People need a contact. I need someone in Nigeria that is able to do this or that, or they can work with me. So really, for the people that are in school today, no matter what the field is, you need to be that person that other people can contact. People have money. Don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no money here, no money there. People have money. They're just looking for someone to give it to you. So you need to become that person, be resourceful, have something going on that people can give their money to you. So you're in a great position to be in, no matter what they say with the economy or anything, the president or anything like that. You need to come together and create something. Just create something, and you'll find people will be lining up to give you their money. But first of all, create something and partner up. You can't do it by yourself. Even getting a wife, no matter in life, you're gonna need somebody else. So make sure it starts when you're in a high school. And that's it.
Fantastic. Shegun,
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about leaving, so I'll just make my short. But apparently, I think you all have said it all because I mean, you think about it, everyone has made very, very strong points. Because like Abimbola said, what you read is not necessarily the most important thing, it's how you apply it. Because the truth about it is that when you think of it, I mean, if you want to go to somewhere like maybe America or Canada or the United Kingdom and you want to go live over there, what is the best course for you to do over here? You've got to consider stuff like that because a simple and crazy thing like nursing could be what your miracle card compared to someone who is I don't know some engineering course or chemistry course. So you got to figure out what is relevant to where you are and where you want to be. It's very important in making those kind of decisions further on. And even if you think about what every other person has said too, it's relationships in universities are very important, even in secondary schools, because like I just came back and I've been here for like a week, and you're finding out that your secondary school friends and your university colleagues are all chairmen in this local governments or senators, or some people are like running companies and stuff like that. So people move around a lot, and you find out a lot of people that you meet, and some people you might not think much about them or you might disregard them, but staying focused and true to their goals make something for themselves. And those kind of people, sometimes the only thing that makes the difference between you and the next person standing beside you is the fact they know you. And that makes a huge difference in you being able to achieve or get what you want in those kind of situations. And I think it's very important. So obviously, I think focusing on what you love, studying something you're passionate about is also good. But most importantly, is the relationships you make, and never disregard them. That will come through for you more important than any other thing that you think you can do. Because more we as human beings, what makes us communities, the ability to connect with one another. And I think that's very important. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave because I need to go catch up with somebody because they've been waiting for me for a while. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Bano. God bless.
Yeah, no problem about it.
Bye.
Hello, Grace Schools. Good morning. My name is Dr. Richard Onyejesi, and I'm actually very happy to be here this morning to speak to you about the realities of being a medical doctor as part of your career talk. First of all, I apologize for not being there live during the meeting because of some appointments with work that came up suddenly. But that is the reality of being a doctor, really. You can't really predict it. Your time is not really your time because anything can come up at any time, and then you might have to attend to that. So, without further ado, let's talk about what it means to be a doctor. Now, the reality is that being a doctor is difficult. Okay, it's difficult, and I actually saw a lot of you want to be a doctor, and I saw that list, and I was like, this is wonderful, but I will do my best to make sure that I don't sugarcoat anything so that nobody is misguided. The reality is that being a doctor is difficult because from the minute you get into medical school, in fact, before medical school, from the minute you start trying to even enter medical school, you will understand the gravity of the competition that you have to face. So it's difficult. But then, that's not to say it's not possible. It's very possible. I'm living proof, and a lot of my friends that I came up with are doctors today. So it's very possible, and there are only two things that you need, and there are two things that you need to always constantly keep track of. Number one, you need to keep asking yourself, is this what I want? Or is this what somebody else said I should do? I'm sure my colleagues that are going to talk about other professions will tell you the same thing, but you need to, in medicine in particular, has to be something that you want by yourself, not somebody else telling you. You must want it. If you don't want it, the program will chase you out, definitely. Okay, I can guarantee you that. Okay, so you must want it. Okay, and you must have your reasons why you want it. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that when you want to be a medical doctor, you have to know exactly, or you have to have an idea of what exactly you want to do with the medical degree. So, do you want to be a doctor that, sees the whole body? Or do you want to be a doctor that specializes in a particular area? Or do you want to be a doctor that goes out, doesn't see patients, that just, does what we call public health? Do you want to be a doctor that is more into technology? Do you want to be a doctor that works with non-governmental organizations? You need to know you need to have an idea of what you want to do with your medical degree from now. And this is the best time that you can make those decisions. I assume that you're already in science class, so that one is already settled. Getting into medical school, well, there are 3 pathways. There's the JAMB, there's the diploma, there's A-level. I did A-level, but personally, to be honest, all 3 of them are pretty much the same thing. Just they're pretty much the same thing generally. It's still a matter of you reading and passing an exam. And of course, you have to understand that the cutoff for most of these exams are always very high for medicine. Okay, so JAMB has a very high cutoff for medicine. Even in post-JAMB as well, the cutoff is always very high. So one of the first things you have to understand is that you need to be very, very focused about your studies, and you need to know that competition is high and spots are few. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, you've gotten into medical school. What do you do? How is it? How does it look like? Medical school, to be honest, is you being in the company of the smartest people in the country. I'm not saying this to psych myself up, and I'm not saying this to belittle my colleagues that did other courses, but the reality is, once you get into medical school, you're operating on a higher IQ. In fact, the highest IQ that you can possibly operate on. Okay, let me not exaggerate, but to be fair, that's the truth. Okay, and I'm not saying that because I'm a doctor, but that's the truth. You will be amongst the smartest people in the country. Okay, and that's actually going to do one of 2 things. Okay, it's going to make you strive to be better, or it's going to make you become scared or become fearful. Okay, the 2 of them is going to happen to you. Okay, and you have to understand that this is the reality. You will be scared of people that are coming in, or your classmates and everything, or what they know and everything like that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that they will inspire you to be better. Okay, and you have to be better because you have to pass these exams, and you have to learn how to not just pass the exams, but understand what you are doing, because you're dealing with life. Never forget that. Okay, so medical school would humble you. Okay, it will make you into a good doctor eventually when you pass it. Forget about what people tell you. The truth about the matter is that once you get into medical school, you will have a lot to read. But that shouldn't scare you, since that's what you want to do. There's a lot to read, and there's a short time to read everything, but you can do it. Okay? Now, medical school takes 6 years, and you finished your medical school education. Now you're a doctor after 6 years of study. You have to do 1 year of internship, housemanship, and after you finish that 1 year of internship, then you have a permanent license to study medicine. That's after 7 years. Now, after internship, you have to do NYSC. So after NYSC, you would have spent about 8 years. Now, after NYSC, you're now what we call a post-NYSC medical doctor. You are fully mature. Okay, at that point, you can do whatever you want to do with your career. Okay, it now depends on that first question I asked you before. What exactly do you want to do with your career? That idea that you had before. In medical school, you would challenge the idea. You would ask yourself, can I really do this? When you see the realities of what that career path entails. Okay, so you would ask yourself, you will see if you can do it because you will see the realities of it. So now that you have, by the time you've gotten to be a copper and you've finished your NYSC, you've gone around all the specialties. By that time, you've seen what it's like to be with all the subunits in medicine, all the body parts. You've gone through everything. You've done your internship in all the body parts, so you have an idea of the whole body. So now you can now decide what you want to do. If it's different from what you initially planned, or if it's the same, you can now take it up and do what you want to do post NYSC. So there are many different career pathways, okay? And there are many. In fact, this video, even if I want to make this video an hour long, it's not possible for me to cover all the pathways, but I'll try and be succinct. I'll try and be as brief as possible and try and capture the main things. Okay, so the general idea is that you can either be a GP, a general practitioner, or you can specialize in a particular part of the body or a particular area of medicine. A general practitioner sees everybody, sees everything. All right, we call those medical officers. They see everything. Okay, currently I'm a medical officer. Okay, I'm a level grade 12 medical officer, and I'm working with the Lagos State Health Service Commission. Okay, so in about a couple of not too long from now, I will be a level 13, level 14, level 15, level 16. It goes higher up like that, and your salary increases with it. Okay, I'll get salary matter in a minute. Now, apart from GP, there's a part for specialty. Now, that is the part where you can now become a resident doctor and specialize in an area of medicine that you wanted, an area of medicine or surgery that you wanted when you were in this particular class that you guys are in now, or when you do internship, or maybe your plans have changed, whichever one. If you plan to be a specialist by the time you're done with your NYSC, then you have to go into a residency program. Okay, and different residency programs take different times. Okay, I'll allow you to do your personal research on that. Different residency programs take different times. It's longer if you want to be a neurosurgeon, for example. It takes about 7 to 8 years. It's shorter if you want to be a public health physician or a cardiologist, which takes about 3 to 4 years or 5 years. For a cardiologist, a public health physician is about 3 years or 4 years. So, whichever pathway you want to take, if you want to be a specialist, at the end of your residency program, you become a consultant, and as a consultant, you're an authority in that particular special area of the body. Okay, so there are other pathways as well. It's not just about GP, and it's not just about being a consultant. You can do lots of different things. You can be a part of a non-governmental organization. Okay, you can be, like I said before, a public health physician that doesn't need to be in the hospital. You can do a master's in any body parts. Okay, you can do a master's in anything, really, not just body parts, but anything. You can do a master's in anything, and you can now get a job with that master's. You can be a mobile doctor, what we call, there are people we call currently called the flying doctors, people that actually operate in the airlines. Okay, there are several career pathways, and to be honest with you, I can't cover them in this video. But with your medical degree, you can be literally anything. What the beauty about medical school and being a doctor is that it mostly depends on you. Okay, the mandatory part is what I talked about before. The medical school is mandatory, you must pass. After medical school, you must do your internship. After internship, you must do your NYSC. After NYSC, it depends on you. You can now do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay? So, me in particular, I did my medical school, I did my internship, I did my NYSC. I'm currently working as a grade 12 medical officer, like I said before. But in September, that's next month, I'll be traveling to the UK to do my master's. Okay? And I'll be there for about 2 years. And when I get there, I'll have to see the opportunities that are available there and make my own decisions. I don't even know the opportunities waiting for me when I get there. Medical school is that wide. You will not know everything from the get-go. So what you need to do is that you need to constantly keep making your own personal research and constantly keep reinforcing yourself on the part of medicine that you want to do, that you think you're good at, that you have interest in. You need to focus on that part of medicine and get as much information about it as possible, because the profession changes by the minute. Okay? Now, I'll talk about salaries quickly before I now talk to you about another frank reality about medicine. Salaries vary. Okay? Salaries vary. And the salary varies based on your level and your skill set. Basically, people will pay you more when you know more and when you can do more. That's the reality. Okay? Currently I'm working as a medical officer. So there are things I can do. I have a general idea of how the whole body operates, but there are people that come to me that I can't help, that I have to refer, because they are coming with problems that I can't handle at my level. Okay? So my salary at the moment is generous because I'm working for the Lagos State Health Service Commission and they pay well. The reality is your salary will depend on your skill set and your employer. So that's something that you have to know about salaries. My teachers used to tell me when I was a student that being a doctor, if you want to be a doctor, you don't chase money. Okay, that's the trick to the trade. You don't chase money if you want to be a doctor. You don't go into medical school or medicine thinking that you're going into that profession because you want to make money. No, that's not what you do. What you do is that you go into medical school because you want to get the knowledge. You want to get the knowledge, so you go into medical school. Once you get the knowledge and you're skilled in that area, money will follow you. That's the trick about medicine. Okay? Money follows doctors. Doctors don't need to chase money. What you need to do is that you need to be good at whatever it is that you plan to do. So, medical doctor hopefuls, what you need to do right now, as I'm talking to you, SS1 is the best time. What you need to do right now is that you need to start looking at areas where you have your own interest in. And you need to make sure that interest has a strong foundation. Okay, you need to ask yourself a lot of questions. You need to have as much information about that area as possible. Then in medical school, when you are actually in that area that you wanted to practice or you wanted to specialize in or you have special interest in, you need to now see if you can really do it. As long as you can do it, you have no problems with medicine. Okay? The reality is that medicine will forever be demanding because even though the human body is the same, technology is always going to be updating itself. So there are newer ways to do things. There are newer ways to prefer treatments. There are newer ways to get around our job. So you always need to be on your toes and keep yourself up to date. It is not a rosy profession all the time, but it is rewarding. And your salary will always be there. Okay? My teachers used to say, you will never go hungry. And that's the truth. You will never go hungry with medicine. You will always have money. But if you want to be rich, I'm not saying you can't be rich, you can, but But if you want to be rich, what you have to do is that you need to make sure you chase the knowledge, all right, and make sure that you have the skill to be that doctor, that good doctor. As long as you're a good doctor, your services will always be needed, and you will make all the money that you want. So, with all that being said, you have to consider one last thing before I end this brief video. The last thing you have to consider is that you have to consider what your career progression. Okay, your career progression. How is your career now, and how do you want it to be in the next 5 years? As a doctor, you always need to be constantly reminding yourself of that. So that's the reason why I told you that if you want to chase money, it's not really a good strategy, because you would end up reacting to things instead of being proactive about things. Okay, so you have to think about your career progression. And what does that mean? Look at what's happening abroad. Look at other places around you. Look at other countries around you. Look at Nigeria's situation. Look at places where your services are most needed and most valued. Look at where your career would be most rewarded. Look at how time, all right, is going. Look at the trends. Look at what coronavirus has done to the country. It has increased the demand for doctors all across the world, not just Nigeria. Consider all these things when making decisions, okay? So as long as you keep growing as a doctor, you would always be needed, sought after, and you will always be comfortable. So the watchword, as for my prospective future medical colleagues, the watchword is that you should constantly strive to keep growing and don't become obsolete for any reason. So always chase the knowledge and you'll be fine. Medical school is just about commitment, constant commitment to your work, and constant reinventing of yourself, constant gathering of information, okay? And it's really less about salaries, okay? The salaries and your money and your bonuses, those things will come immediately you become a good doctor. So that's what you should focus on, okay? If there are any questions, I'll be glad to take them as directed by the organizers of this event. Thank you very much, and have the best luck in your career.
Okay, for the rest of the participants, are you guys there?
Yeah.
No, I mean the rest of the participants, the students. The floor is open for questions. Are there questions from any of you guys? Are there questions? Okay. If there isn't, then I would take. Is Amida there? Amida, can you hear me? Okay, so.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so ask your question directly to Ashurma then.
Okay. I would like to know how you differentiated between a dream career and what was more realistic to do. Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. Can you explain a bit further so that I answer it? Yeah.
For instance, what you have passion for and what seems more realistic, what seems more achievable to do.
Okay. So I would say, first of all, it's a bit of research for what is happening now. So going online and not just going online, asking. And I think it's a great idea that you have this particular platform where we can tell you a few of these things. So reaching out to people who are in the industry that you like. Okay, so say for example, you like the oil and gas industry, or you like chemical engineering, or your dream job is petroleum and gas engineering. In high school, you might not know what the industry is going to look like in a few years, right? But a bit of research, whether personal or checking online, will do a lot of good. And then you'll be able to find out that, see, it's like this industry is winding down, right? But rather than the internet, I will stress it still goes back to relationships. So maybe for you in your situation is, do you have any of your parents, friends who are in that line of a career that you're looking at, that your dream career, or do you want to go to school and ask the teachers there that, please, can you put me in touch with any of the alumni who is in this industry? Or when you even get to university, honestly, getting to university is not too late. So, if you start in one program, it's never too late. So, and that's another thing that just came to mind. It's never too late to course correct. Okay. So if right now for me, I mean, how many years down the line, 6 years working, I've realized that, oh, my industry is winding down. It's not the end of the world. I just start retooling ahead of time, right? So I guess where I'm going to is research, ask questions, search online, and then it will let you know that, okay, this career, this is my dream. Does it fit in with the realities in the future or not? And if it doesn't, don't necessarily scrap it. I wouldn't say scrap it. I'll just say, how can you now make it into something that will be useful in the future? That would be the next question. Okay, and you probably don't have the tools to make all of that decision right now, but get the necessary help. So for example, let's say you wanted to do petroleum and gas engineering. That's your dream. And then the reality is that the energy industry, we're moving into cleaner energy, right? And somebody tells you that, so what then can you do? So you can do something you can move instead into energy engineering, okay? Renewable energy engineering is something else you could do rather than petroleum and gas. So you're not entirely throwing away the petroleum and gas, right? But you're preparing for the future. So you do energy engineering. If petroleum and gas is still there when you're done, you can dabble into it, but you still have the tools to be able to be marketable even outside that. Does that make sense, Hamida, or was that what you were asking?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And anybody else can please throw in more light, please. One other thing I wanted to state when we're talking about skills that I missed out on was financial skills, so personal finance, right? You can make so much money and blow it also fast. And there's no better time to learn those things, to learn about investments, to learn about stock markets and all those things than now. If you start now, you are ahead of the game. I promise you. So ask those questions. That's something, I wish I had learned a lot earlier, okay? You don't want money coming in and you're just buying the latest things in town. Or you're just saying, it's so bad that even if you're just putting your money in your bank account, you are losing money, right? So you need to, invest in classes or ask your parents, how can I get personal finance skills? So that's one other takeaway I'd like you to have.
Is there any student that wants to ask any questions? Mafe and the rest of Chidiebere and the rest of you guys, are there any questions you have for any of the panelists?
Come on, you almost have questions. Come on. Come on.
Nobody has questions to ask.
Why are you shy?
Oh.
And the thing is, I just the young people feel that I've interacted with, I know that the things that many of them do like, just because of their own age is different from myself. Like, they like music, they like apps, they like, I mean, like a lot of those things, how you're like all this audio, video, like connecting things, just don't like the music. How is this thing working? Try to, get your hands into it, even if it's just, maybe someone that maybe you go to an event and someone is connecting all those like, entertainment stuff together. How is he able to do all these things? Like, just get your hands dirty and try to learn those things, and don't just sit back and watch all the lights come on, just, keep learning. And you never, no knowledge is a waste. You don't know when you may actually need that. But I'm sure that you all will have things that on your mind that maybe you want to ask, but I don't know if this is the right forum. Please go ahead and ask. This is the forum. I mean, we've all been there. Please.
Yeah, take advantage. Take advantage. I would have loved this opportunity when I was younger. And if there's no questions, I'm expecting everyone to have their own businesses and be millionaires in the next 5-6 years.
Exactly. I have a Grace Children's School WhatsApp group for 91 sets. We're talking about building relationships. We have that group. So again, it's all part of just carrying along the relationships that we've built over the years. So
I'm surprised that there isn't anyone amongst the participants. If there isn't anyone, then okay, Anitiba Oreoluwa, you have a question, so go ahead and ask.
My question is that how can we make money online, like right now, aside from stock market and investment? Is there any other way?
Okay, I think, who amongst the panelists would like to answer the question? I think Samson, yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, how do you make money online is, you can, that's the main way. Even your bank transfer, even the bank transfers that you do is online. Everything is online. So it's not a question of how do you make money online, it's a thing of just go ahead and whatever you want to do, it will automatically be attached to making money online. Listen, to make it nice and basic is this. Everybody needs something. That's it. To make it nice and basic, it's you need to be able to help someone. That's what it comes down to. People will always have problems in the world, and you need to have a skill or an idea that will help someone. That's all. And then that person, instead of saying thank you, that person, there's something that we use to say thank you that is universal, and it's called money. We pay you. So if you help someone, they'll say thank you by giving you money, and then that's how the world works. So it's not a thing of how do you make money online. It's a thing of what do you like, and what can you do to help someone, and then you automatically make money online. That's all. And that's aside from investments and whatnot. Just a basic service. What can you provide someone that will help them, and that they'll want to say thank you by giving you money?
Thank you.
All right, Chidebere, should I say the question, or would you like to ask? Okay. So this is from Chidebere to everyone. So the question is, what if you, like, for instance, you are in arts class and you later realize that you're not very good in art subjects, and you feel like you would be better in, let's say, science class, and it's too late to change. What do you do in such a situation? So I think we'll throw this up to Samson and then the rest of the crew. So Samson, what's your thought on that?
I mean, you just change. You just change. There's no wasted time as such. The skills that you've learned in that example, the skills that you've learned through art will also serve you in the next thing that you want to do. In fact, because you've done art, you'll even have a better skill set than the person that just stuck to the other subject. So you just change. That's all. Just change. There's no, your life is your life, and you could change it at any time. So there's no thinking about it. The skills that you've already learned, you use it for the next thing, and that's how life works.
Okay. Fantastic. Ashima.
So I would say Samson has done a good job with that. In addition to that, talk to school admin, school council, see what can be done now. If nothing, I'm not sure I remember exactly how it works in Nigeria, but outside Nigeria, you don't need to do science subjects to study science classes. So whatever you're doing now, you just use it and apply to whatever program you think you'd like. Now it's just that the onus will be on you to fill in the gaps, right? To get the knowledge to fill in the gaps for that, the classes you have missed and all of that. Go and train yourself a bit in those. But yeah, like Samson said, don't ever feel like you're stuck. It's never too late to change. And I think Bimbo is like a very good example, right?
All right, Bimbo, on to you.
It's you all have said it all. It's not too late to change. I know that switching departments and courses in Nigeria at a university level can be very difficult. You may have to go through JAMB and all that stuff. I don't know how it works, but I know it's a very rigid process, right? In the Western world, it's not, you just switch. But of course, you have to make sure that you have the skills, or how you're going to fill in the gap. And that, and what Ashoma said is very, very important. But the longer you wait, that's not going to help you. So you just have to make that change and just switch. Change is never easy. I mean, I'm going through one now. I mean, to be honest, I think I don't know if you all read my bio, the one secondary school. I mean, sometimes the change that transition could take you almost 2 years or a year or what, but the longer you wait, it gets much more difficult. So just change. Okay.
Thank you, panelists. So Amida, you still have another question. So go ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is, if you want to do a particular course, but you've heard from different people, oh, it's hard, it's difficult, only very smart people can do this, but you don't yet see yourself as, okay, I'm very smart, but how do you overcome such fear? How do you not listen to the chatters of others telling you, oh, you might not be able to do this, you might not be able to do that? That's my question.
Okay, go ahead, Samson. Go.
Sure. Okay, I'll be quick. Well, life is actually determined by self-esteem. That will get you anywhere and everywhere. Self-esteem. And what you'll realize in life is that you need to have a good self-esteem to do anything, even to be in a relationship, anything. And people will treat you according to your self-esteem that you give up. So if you let someone tell you something, and they tell you something that that you follow, and if you let someone advise you against doing something you want to do, especially when it comes to a career, it's, of course, listen to the advice. But if they're just saying you're not smart enough, then what is your self-esteem? If they can tell you you're not smart enough, what else are they going to tell you? To take a lower paying job, it'll continue. People, you need to have a good self-esteem no matter what you do. So, the real question is, are you going to let that person tell you you're not smart enough, or are you going to be smart enough? Even if you don't think you are, at least you have the confidence that I can perhaps see that I could try my best. That's all. You need to just try your best. But that's not going to stop just now in high school. People will also do something like that when you go to university, when you're 20 something, when you're 30 something, when you're 40 something. So are you going to have good self-esteem now, or you're gonna wait till you're 90 years old and then you'll just have a lot of regrets?
So, I mean, Samson is so right about that. And one way you can also build your self-esteem, if indeed that's what you want to do, is you look at, so what are the, for lack of a better word, let me use the word, maybe foundational courses or prerequisites or whatever, to that career. I mean, for example, let's say it is medicine now, and you're saying, oh, and you're second guessing yourself, can I be a doctor? And like, okay, to be a doctor, the sciences, the biologies, when you're in the hospitals, the few times you've been there, how do you feel? Is this something you like? I mean, again, it comes back to you. You have to look at yourself. Don't listen to other people. Okay, I'm okay in math. I'm okay in physics, chemistry, biology. I like to be in the hospital setting, bedside management. I think I like that. And even if you've not experienced that, do you have an aunt who's a nurse or an uncle or somebody that can bring you when I look, you know what, I like this environment. So once you can check all those boxes, why are you worried about what somebody else is telling you? You've checked all the boxes that, and all the building blocks you need to become a doctor so far, so just continue with that. You cannot, people, even if someone tells you you can do something and you check yourself, like, what, can I do this thing? And you just go through everything. You know what, this is not me. And I'll give myself as an example. Okay. There have been things I thought I could do that I've tried out, but when I actually physically said, okay, let me try to do this, I went there, I'm like, no, this is not me. No, I cannot do this. I don't like the smell of this environment. It's so dusty. I don't like this. I don't like, you know what? No, I don't like this. This involves, this is too, it doesn't involve talking to people. I'm going to be all siloed in. No, this is not me. So you have to listen to yourself and don't let people decide for you. I mean, I'm not saying totally ignore what people say, but just, again, it comes back to you, what you want to do and what skills do you have. And even if you don't have all, and you don't have to have all the skills, but how can I then get those skills to feel that? But again, it's going to be down to you. If you want to do it, there's nothing you put your mind to, you can become anything. Okay.
Spot on. And I'd say I remember when I started at UT, they would say, oh, this class, there was a class, they say it's the weed out class. When you get into this class, by the time you are done, half of the people in this class will switch their majors to chemistry or to some, it was usually chemistry that people, because we are taking so many chemistry classes that it would just make sense to just go into chemistry. And then people were saying, see, we only have, I think we're about 5 Black students at that time, that by the time people are graduating, it will only be 1 or 2 or something, and I was like, hey, my goodness. And I remember the first test. I went in and I remember vividly getting 13 out of 25. I said, they are right. So I called my dad and I was like, hey dad, I think I'll be switching to chemistry. And my dad is like, what happened? And I said, oh, this is what they said. It's harder than I thought. And see, I just got 13 out of 25. And he said, then work harder for the next one. Why? So, from where to where? And I got an A in that class in the end. And I mean, I studied the chemical engineering and I'm here. So just imagine if I had let that sit in and I just, closed everything because people said it was going to be hard. No, don't you just sit down and put in the work. This coding thing I'm doing now, I mean, you'll be work. Don't get me wrong, but you can do the work required. That's what I'm saying. The coding thing I'm doing now, I have to say, oh my goodness, it's so hard though. You want to take this class with work and your family and this, blah, blah, blah. But it's not easy, but I am doing it. And that's the same thing I'd like to say to you. Yes, they might be right that it is tough, but you're also tough. Okay, remember that. So you can do it. Don't listen to them. Put in the hard work, and you'll be fine.
Okay. Well, there's another question from
Thank you.
Samson. Did you want to say something? Okay. There's another question from Olaoluwa. So it's similar to what Amida said. So let me read the question. So my question is similar to Amida's one. I have a dream to become a doctor, but people tell me it's stressful and the process is stress. And I should look forward to a career less stressful. And I've had this dream since I was little. And I could only find comfort in something I have passion in. So what will she do?
Omolua, stick to your plan. You have a dream, you like it, you want to be a doctor, you are going to be a doctor. Okay? You are going to be, there is nothing, there is no career that doesn't have stress. Okay? The stress may just be different, but everything, there's no profession. It has its own stress. It may just be different. Stick to medicine if you like it, and you continue to follow through on it, okay? Don't let anybody tell you about, oh, do something less stressful. There's nothing less stressful. Everything has its own stress, okay? It may have busy spells here and there, but yeah, continue. You'll be just fine, okay?
Samson?
Yeah, it's just really you have to have a do or die mentality, really, because life is tough, and what you're gonna find, because you guys are young now, but you'll find that as life progresses, you got more things to think about. So you need to, where you are right now, you need to develop your mindset and have a great, Grace High School is a good place to develop that mindset. And it really, especially if you stay in the hostel, but you need to have a mindset that no matter what, you're gonna, achieve your goal, and that mindset will get you everywhere, and it will serve you as time goes on. But really, what it comes down to is how hungry are you? Do you really want it? Is either you're hungry or the person next to you is hungrier than you. Who's the most hungriest for it? And that's usually the person that gets there in the end. You got to be hungry for it. And don't, yeah, it literally comes down, even over here in the West, whether it's a job interview or whether it's a goal, a personal goal or anything, it comes down to how hungry are you for it? How much do you want it? And that's what, because once you decide that you want something, no matter what, everything else is irrelevant. But it's only when you don't decide, you're still one step in, one step out. That's when now other things you consider other things. But how hungry are you? Do you really want it or do you not? It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Samson. Are there still any other questions? Okay. If there isn't, then Amida, can you hear me?
Yes,
Amida,
I can.
I would like you to give the vote of thanks, and then we'll close. We'll close this seminar talk.
Okay, sir.
I'd like to give a vote of thanks to the panelists.
Okay.
On behalf of you
I'll
guys.
say thank you to everyone that showed up and gave us advice. We all take it in good faith, and we hope to be able to put all you said into practice. And yes, thank you for the good words, and hopefully all of us here gained one or two things, and we hope we are more than grateful for this opportunity that was given to us. So yes, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Amida. I'd also like to say special thank you to Mr. Or should I call him engineer or Mr. Or is Abimbola just okay?
Bimbo, man, just call me Bimbo.
Okay. So Bimbo, I would like to say a special thank you to you for taking time out of your tight schedule to be part of this discussion. I'd like to say thank you very much for what you do. God bless you, and keep doing what you do. And well, and to Ashioma and Samson, and to Shego as well, who's not on with us. I would also like to say thank you for the time you guys took out to especially come on this program. The alumni office is actually the one that's powering this in conjunction with the alumni with you guys. So the hope is that all these things you've said will look into skill acquisition for each and every of our SS1, SS2, and below. Because like you said, you cannot live this life without skills. Skills are the fundamental things you need to actually make money in this world. And without those skills, you can't really survive. So I'd like to say thank you again to you guys for contributing, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Nice to meet you, Samson and Engineer Bimbo.
Definitely, nice to meet you as well.
All right, then. You guys should be good, take care, and hopefully we'll be in touch. And whatever else we're doing, I would also keep you guys in touch. Thank you for joining us. God bless you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care.